Hi everybody, Patty Ann here. Hang on just a second. Okay, one of the first things I wanted to show you was where I get my flock, and I go here and I have a link below for it. And when I come to this website, I just type in StripFlock, and then I like to come to where it has the pieces that are 15 inches by 1 foot, unless it's black or gray, because I really use a lot of those two colors. But for the other colors, I like to get the smaller pieces. Now notice it is $4.25 a piece, so that seems a little bit steep in price. But if you come over to Cricut Design Space with me, you'll see that I could actually make, if I were making this design right here, I could make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the shirts with just 2 pieces of the vinyl. 1 piece of the pink in this case and 1 piece of the white. I'm doing it in pink and white like I did for the mock-up on this picture on the left, because I am going to do it on a black t-shirt. So let's get started with this. I'm just going to grab one of these out of here, and I'll just get rid of the rest of this. That was just for a demonstration. Okay, so what I did to get this was I came over to the text tool and I changed my font to Varsity. Came up here and I typed in Varsity and there it is there. And the one that I chose was Varsity Multi-Layer, the very first one here. And then I typed in all caps the word Cricut. I need to have my hands on the right keys. Okay. And it comes in like this. I wanted it to be about 9 inches across, so I'm going to change this to a 9. And hit enter. And then it will be whatever it is. So that's a little bit bigger than what I had. So hopefully still 7 would fit. And I think they would. So the next thing that I did then was I let me move this one over so we don't get confused. So the next thing that I did was I changed the color of this part to white, and this is just to help me remember what I'm doing. So I'm going to come up here to where it says cut, and there's a question mark. I'm going to make it white. This one here that has the inside part as pink and the outside part as white. And so what I'd forgotten to do right off the bat was I wanted to change the letter spacing so these letters come almost touching together. Okay, that looks good to me. Now what I should do is I should select this thing and make it 9 inches wide. Come up here and make it 9 with the lock locked, hit enter. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the word love in here. Okay, I changed the color of my canvas so you could see more clearly what I'm doing, and so we could get an idea of what this is going to look like on a black t-shirt. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to text, and up here I'm going to type in I love glitter, because that's the one I'm going to use. It's a free font that you can get from dafont.com. And I'm going to just type in the word love this time. But before I type in the word love, I'm going to type in the square bracket. So if you find the letter P on your keyboard, it's the key right to the right of that. So if I hit that key, it's going to make a little swoosh. And then I'm going to type in love, because I'm just going to have it say Cricut Love instead of Cricut Lover. And then I'm going to hit the square bracket to the right of the one I just used. Okay, so there we go. Now I need to come up here and change it to white, because that's what color I'm going to use, and so I can see it more clearly. And the other thing I'm going to do is I have it on, it was on regular originally. I'm going to change it to bold so the writing is a little thicker. And again, when I changed all that, it changed it from the white. I want it back to white. Now, as you'll notice, I need to do the letter spacing, so I come up here and I start clicking the down arrow till these letters come closer together and actually touch. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them up here and pull them across till I see where I like them. Okay, that looks, I think I'll just center it. So I'm going to grab everything and come up here to align and center. And now I'm going to grab this and I'm going to weld it just itself. And look what happened to the E. Do you notice that? I'll show you how to fix that. So we need to hit the undo button and the undo button. Okay, there we are, back to that. So what must have happened was something got a little close to another letter here, and that's what happens when something like that goes on. So what I need to do is I need to ungroup it and move this swoosh over for a second and move this E over a little bit, like that maybe. Put the swoosh back. And now I think the E is a little low. Okay. And now I'm going to try welding it again and see if the E stays open. Okay, so that stayed open now. So now I'm going to bring it up here again, and I'm going to click on all of it to highlight it all and go align, center. Okay, now I'm going to get this words again, and I'm going to come up here to the right and duplicate the word love. And right now this is a cut file. If you come over here where it's selected, you can see it's a cut file. I have to come up here to the top to where it says no fill, and I need to change it to a print. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to pretend I'm going to make it because I'm continuing on this part that has to do with the knockout. So I'm going to go to make it. And you really can't see it very well, but it's there. It's because it's white. And actually, I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the color of this a little bit so we can see it a tiny bit. So I'm just going to make it a gray so we can see it. And then I'm going to go to make it. And there it is. I'm going to go continue. I'm going to say save to send to printer. Bleed is on. I'm going to copy this, or I'm going to save picture as love, and it automatically saves it as a PNG. I'm not really going to print this. I'm going to X that out and go to cancel. And yes, I want to cancel. And now I'm going to upload an image, browse. And it should be love PNG. There it is. Complex. Continue. And now I'm going to select this to erase some of the stuff in there and say continue. The one that I want to save is the cut image. So I need to make sure I save that one. Save. And there it is. So I'm going to click on it and go to Insert Images. All right, it's here. And I'm going to hold down my Shift key and rotate this, and I think I need to do it that way. And I'm going to make it white so we can see it. And I'm going to make it big. And okay, that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to, first thing I have to do is I want to move this love out of here. The next thing I want to do is click on this one, and I'm going to contour it, and I don't want those boxes to show up. And once again, I'm going to go like this and center everything, and I'm going to come up to align and align center. Okay. And now the next thing I want to do is I want to take this thing here and I want to duplicate it because I'm going to need that in a moment. And I'm also going to click on the word Cricut. Notice there are two parts to it. I'm going to duplicate it because I'm going to need it again as well. All right, so we're going to work with this one. What I'm going to do is click on this word Cricut, and I'm going to hide the second layer down, which is the colored one, the pink one. I'm going to hide that. And the reason why is so that I can slice. If I didn't do that, I would not be able to have the slice tool available. So I've sliced that out. So I need that, and I don't need this, or this, or this. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing down here to this pink colored one. But this time, instead of hiding the pink color, I'm going to hide the white. And now if I grab these, notice that slice is now available. And I sliced that right out of the pink. I don't need this. And I do need that. And I don't need that or that. Okay, so now we can bring these two things down. And I think I'll right click on this one and move it to the front. And now what I need to do is just highlight them both and say align center. Okay, there we go, aligned perfectly. And then I'll bring this guy back up in here that I used originally. You remember? But I'm going to change him to white. Okay, that's pretty much all I have to do now. Let me get rid of this one. And let me see, these should all be cuts. That's a cut. This one might be the one that's the print, and I need to change that back to a cut. So let's see there. Yeah, that weld result there, I need to change that not to a print and cut, but simply to a cut. No fill, so that changes it back to just a cut. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the white part of the word Cricut, that part of the word Cricut, hold down my shift key and get this text word. So I have those two selected over here. I'm going to weld them. And now I'm going to go make it. So what's going to happen is that's going to go over there in one piece, and then this will be in a second piece that I'll have to layer on top. But I do notice something right here that I don't like. See that little tiny dot right there? That's sort of a pain in the neck. I probably have another one right there, and I do. So I'm going to cancel that for a second. I'm going to come back in here, and I see that little dot right there. I'm going to go to contour, and I'm going to contour that little dot right out of there. I don't like it. Okay. And then I see it in the pink one also, so I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go to contour, and I'm going to contour that little dot right out of there. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go to make it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my iron-on flock onto the cutter. Now notice, since it's an iron-on flock, I need to make sure that I mirror this. So I'm mirroring it right now. And this one as well has to be mirrored. So then I'm going to go continue, select my device, and I'm going to browse all materials. The categories, it's an iron-on, and I'm going to see if they have flock, but they don't. So I'm going to treat this as if it's just an everyday iron-on, okay? But here's the thing. I'm a little tiny bit worried that this isn't going to work right, so I'm going to show you a little trick. I'm going to cancel this. Are you sure you want to cancel? Yes. Now we know the first thing that's going to cut is the white. So I am going to make a little tiny star up here, and I'm going to make it little. Is I'm going to change this color to white, and that which, let's see what happens. Okay, and that part that is really white, I'm going to change to, okay, I made the star white, and I've made that which was white purple. And now I'm going to go to make it. And so the first thing it's going to cut is the star. And I'm going to get a scrap of my vinyl, and I'm going to put it on my mat, and I'm going to cut that star to see how well it does. So I'm going to go to make it, and I'm going to go to continue, and it says to select my device, and I'm going to try a little piece of black that I have left from another time, and I'm going to browse all materials. I'm going to go to vinyl. What vinyl? I'm going to go to iron-on, and I'm just going to try everyday iron-on to see what happens, to see if that will work. Okay, so look down here and see what I've done. I put this little piece on here, and I had the settings to everyday iron-on, and I wanted to see if that worked, and it's perfect. Look at that, that little star. It just cut out perfectly. My carrier sheet is still intact. It did not cut through that. So that's something that you can do when you're not sure what to set your vinyl on. Make a little tiny piece. Put a scrap up here in the corner and cut it first. So now I'm ready to go. So everyday iron-on worked perfectly for that. So the next thing I'm going to do then, if you look up here in Cricut Design Space, remember now, I just made that little white star, and I tried it, and it cut that perfectly. So now I'm going to do this layer. Let me close this out. I'm going to do this layer next. And even though it's looks like it's in purple, I'm going to do it in white. Now I did notice something here. It's no longer mirrored, so I need to mirror this. Okay, and then say done. And because remember, it gives us this warning up here, and I need to mirror this one as well, and I'll do it right now before I forget. Edit and put the mirror on. Done. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this one because this is the one I'm on. I'm remembering again to put it shiny side down. Shiny side down on my mat. Okay, and now I'm going to take it over to my machine, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to use my heat press today. Excuse my lovely t-shirt. Anyway, I'm going to use my heat press today. I have a new shirt that I had just gotten from Joann's about a week or so ago. Took off the tag. Now, I use these a lot, especially on my heat press. They come in a set like this, and you can get them from Heat Press Nation. I'll give you a link below if you're interested in them. I really like them, especially like this size if you're ever doing a pocket and the pocket has seams on it. This just raises it up above the seam a little bit so that you don't have trouble getting direct contact with your iron-on material. This is for a really large one. I'm going to use this size because I see that this will fit on here perfectly. So what I do is I put this up inside my shirt. Let me get it centered in here. And this is really good, especially too if you're working up somewhere where there's a collar or something like that, a cuff, and you know it's going to make a bump right there, and you don't want that to mess up your transfer. So I'm going to move this down a little bit. Okay, there we go. And what I forgot to do, and what I usually do, is I usually fold my t-shirt in half and make a little tiny crease so I know exactly where the halfway point is. But I'm just going to eyeball it today. Okay. So as you know, the first thing that you're supposed to do is to press this and heat it up. And if I look on my little cheat sheet here, for flock, I'm going to do it 320 degrees for about 15 or 20 seconds. So I've got to change the time that I have on my heat press. Right now I have it set to 30 seconds. I hit this little timer button here, and then when it starts blinking I can change it. I'm going to change it to 20, like that. And I already have it set to 320 degrees. So it's ready to go when I'm ready to go. And I have to think which one of these two things do I want to do first. And what I think I'd like to do first is this part, the outline, because I think it'll be easier for me to fit this. No, I'm wrong. I've got to do this part first because the outline then goes on top of it. So again, I'm just going to try to eyeball the center, and I can use that tag. And I want it about that far down from the top. Hopefully that's nice and straight. But before I do that, I had already forgotten. I must do this. You remember, they say they're not kidding. You must do this first. You got to heat it for about 5 seconds maybe. Get it nice and warm, and that gets out any kind of moisture that might be in it. And there's some piece of white. There we go. But it's stuck on there. I don't want it. All right. So again, the first thing I'm going to put down is this. Not that far away. Use my press. And it says to apply a kind of a medium pressure, so I'm leaning down on this with a pretty good much of my weight, and I forgot to hit my timer, so that was probably about 3 seconds. But you know what? I'm not going to leave this on for the whole time because I'm doing layers. So that's all I'm going to do for right now. And this is a cold peel, so I have to wait for it to get cold before I can peel it. And I could take this over like to a window and rub it up against that to help it get cool faster, or just kind of move it around under here. It's cooler. It's not cool yet though. Okay, the reason why I only did a partial on here is because when I put on the second layer, I'm going to do the full 20 seconds. So let's see. If I go carefully, this will peel up. Now I have to be very careful because it's not totally adhered, and the reason being is that I didn't do it for the full time, but that's because I'm doing 2 layers. there's the first layer that says Cricut. And now I've got to put in the Cricut Love. So I'm going to line this up really well. And maybe you do, maybe you don't use a sheet, a pressing sheet, but I always do, so I'm going to go over here and get mine. This sheet is Teflon. You can use parchment paper. So I'm looking at it, making sure everything is lined up perfectly. Looks really good. I love it. All right, so here we go. Start this. And this time I am going to start my timer. And I'm giving it a lot of pressure from my body. Oops, I accidentally just turned it off. I laid on it. Y'all don't do that. Oh no. Alright, let's just assume that's done. That was funny. Alright, good enough. Now, we've got to wait for this to cool. So what I can do now is I can take this pad out of here that I like to use. Just kind of let this get a little air to it. It's still very warm and it says a cold peel. So I certainly don't want to peel it while it's warm. It's a cold peel. So I'm just going to wait. Still pretty warm. It's looking pretty good though. Let me push it on this side because this is a little cooler. That'll help it cool off. All right, now let's peel it. It's pretty cool. Okay, good. It's looking good. I can see that some parts don't. There's a few little pieces that don't look like they've stuck down very well, and it might have been because my machine turned off unbeknownst to me. So I think I'm going to hit it again for maybe another 20 seconds. And like this, and go. And again, I'm putting my body weight on it. Okay. It looks really nice, you guys. So now you remember the other thing that we're supposed to do is we turn it over on the back and we press it again, so it's right here, for another 15 seconds. So since I had it set to 20, obviously when it gets to 5, I will stop. I'm really laying on it again. All right. So that should be it. My design should be done. Let's check it out. Isn't that cool? I think it's turned out really nice, and if you could see this fuzziness of this, it's so nice. Love it. Okay, thanks a lot for joining me, you guys. If you want to get some of this kind of vinyl, I have a link for it down below. Or if you'd like to see about these pads that you might be interested in, They're really nice, especially like I said, if you're doing a sleeve or a cuff and there are seams in it, you can stick it inside of here and it just gives you a better surface that you don't have to worry about that seam, you know, messing up your connection or to your heat press. So again, if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and hit that little bell so you know when my videos are coming. And I guess that's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.